Good Shabbos, everybody. Nice to see everyone. I see Laura and Blanche. Miriam, I see your avatar, your picture.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you too.
How's everybody?
Good. A little rainy, but sort of nice, right? Anyway.
If your choices are 95 degrees or rainy, it's hard.
Yeah, definitely
Shabbat
what a
Shalom.
balance
It's nice
there,
to
right?
see you.
Oh my goodness, so true. Shabbat Shalom. Is that Miriam you talking?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
hi. Oh, yes. I hope you guys have something nice planned for a little bit of a long weekend.
A long weekend of rain.
Yeah,
Yes, a long weekend of rain.
I know. I had all these plans to picnic and whatever. No,
Aw.
it's going to be indoor activities. I think my daughter's home from college. I think I'm going to let her cut my hair.
Ooh.
It's very long.
That's-
It's almost long enough to sit on. It's very long now.
Oh my goodness. How short would you cut it? Or just to like trim?
Depends on her level, her skill level, I guess. Probably, I'm hoping just shoulder length, but we'll see. Worst comes to worst, it'll grow back.
Exactly. As two stepdaughters actually, well, just had such long hair during this. They cut it. It looks really nice. It's straight. It's total, but enough that they still had like still has long hair and enough to donate to Locks of Love.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning. I'm gonna, because mine's definitely long enough for that. So.
Oh, but plus
So
it doesn't look
there-
so long because when it's dry, because it curls up. So your
Right.
hair.
Yeah, I've got a lot of hair.
Yeah.
It's
So the
beautiful.
barbershop
beautiful.
around the corner from the synagogue has a sign that they fix homemade haircuts.
I love that sign. That's so
I
cute.
need to send my son to that because I've cut his hair like 3 times in the pandemic, and now he doesn't want to go to a hairdresser, and I'm terrible at it. I mean, I'm just awful. It looks terrible.
I cut one of my son's hair at one point, and he walked around for 3 weeks with a hood over his head.
Yeah, well.
I haven't cut anyone's hair since I was a kid and cut my bangs. Oh my.
That I used to do.
Well, and even with wavy hair like mine, it just pops up. So I was like, cut it wet, like to here, and shoop. It was charming.
Are those real
Yeah.
flowers?
The dangers of cutting curly hair.
Exactly.
Are those real flowers?
No, this is a photograph of the sanctuary. I'm actually at
Sorry,
home.
sorry, I didn't hear the beginning.
This
What
is
about
a photograph of the sanctuary.
oh,
I
that's not the
imagine.
sanctuary- That's not
Yeah,
the sanctuary itself?
No, I'm in my living room.
It's so nice to be able to be
Slowly.
home, right? Not have to trek out in this weather.
Yes.
Did you say it's your living room?
Yeah, it's a picture of the sanctuary. I'm actually in my living room. Yeah.
People do virtual backgrounds, Blanche. You can put, if
My
you have the
goodness.
technical ability, you can put up anything. People look like they're in space or in
I'm
the beach.
disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
I know they are quite beautiful, the flowers. They must have been from a bar mitzvah or something.
The Aaron seems narrow though, no?
I think it's just the angle of the picture.
Well, okay.
I want to welcome everyone to Shabbat services today. So lovely to see your faces. I'm going to start with a little bit of music, a little nigun, and I'm going to invite Amy, who's helping me out tonight, to mute you all. It's not personal, as you know.
I wish they would take my name off my face. My name is
Yeah, I don't know if you can move it. I don't know if you can move it around. But I'll remind everybody to keep yourselves muted. during the service, and there'll be opportunities to unmute when we share names for the Mishaberach and when we say Kaddish together for those who are in mourning. So I'll be sure to cue you into those. And in the meantime, let's bring in Shabbat together with some song. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I la 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 la. I la 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 la. I la 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 la. I la 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 la. I la 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 la. I la I la 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 la. So welcome everyone. The first thing we're going to do together is, thank you Amy for sharing the prayer book. You read my mind. We're going to light candles. So if you have candles in front of you or nearby, feel free to light them, and then we're going to say the blessing together. Oh, didn't quite make it. My candle is feeling a little bit lackluster today. There we go. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm going to move these out of the way so I don't burn my nose. And let's read together. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we are reminded that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, and day of peace. Continue with the couple of songs for Kabbalat Shabbat. We're going to sing the second one on this page, Shiru L'Adonai. Shiru L'Adonai, shir shir chadash, Shiru L'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, Shiru L'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai, baruch shemo, basro meyom leyom yeshuato. Shiru L'Adonai, baruch shemo, בשרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. And on the next page, we continue with the psalm at the top, Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim, v'tagel tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, v'tagel tagel haaretz. Iram hayam olam, Iram hayam olam, Iram hayam olam, Iram hayam olam. Yismechu Hashamayim, v'tagel tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, v'tagel tagel haaretz. We come now to Lechadodi. And it's our custom to, in the last verse, rise and turn towards the doorway and welcome the bride of Shabbat as she enters and sanctifies Shabbat for us. We continue here with Lechadodi. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekavela. La 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 la, lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתחילה. לה 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 לה, לך לך דודי, לקד לקד קלה, בני בני שבת nekavela. לך לך דודי, לקד לקד קלה, בני בני שבת nekavela. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, יהי בכל הברכה, בראש מקדם לסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לה 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 לה, לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני בני שבת nekavela. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני בני שבת nekavela. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באור קומי אורי, 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 שתדברי, סוף כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לה 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 לה, לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני בני שבת nekavela. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני בני שבת nekavela. Take a moment to rise and face the door. Welcome the bride of Shabbat. Ba'wi v'shalom, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לה 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 לה, לחה לחה דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נכוונה, לחה לחה דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נכוונה. You may be seated. And we continue with the psalm that is set just for Shabbat, a psalm that contains words of gratitude, important kavanah, an important place for our hearts to be as we enter Shabbat. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר הסתך ואמונתך בלילות, בלילות. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינו, בחינו. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. If you are not standing anymore after Lachadadeh, I think I remembered to tell you to sit, but I don't know for sure. But it's our custom to rise for Kaddish and for the reader's Kaddish, and then to remain standing for Baruch Hu, which follows. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חידותי בימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה, להמירן בעלמא ויאמרו amen. We remain standing for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Yanai nai 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 nai, Please be seated. Maxine, if you're hearing two services, it may be that you have both the live stream and the Zoom open. Check your computer and close one of them. And that will probably help. Because the live stream is actually a little bit delayed, I believe. So they won't sync up. Let's continue by reading this blessing from the evening service. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue with Ahavat Olam, abounding love, we are loved. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Torah, Mitzvah, Chukim u'Mishpatim, אותנו לימדת, על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ואין, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. We continue together with the Ve'ahavta. You shall love God with your whole heart and your whole soul. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We continue with this kavanah, words that help set an intention for the upcoming prayer of Michamocha. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. And I've lost my page, but that's okay.
Apologies, I don't know what happened.
It's okay. Though the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Mi chamocha. Actually, that's going to be too low. There we go. Mi chamocha avanim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Torah tehilot osef eleh, Torah tehilot osef eleh, malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Miriam zeli, anu ve'ameru Adonai lo leolam ba'elayim, bye bye bim bim bye, bye bye bim bye, bye bye bim bim bye, bye bye bim bye, bye 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 bim bye, bye bye bim bye. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. We continue with Hashkivenu, a prayer that is only said at night, praying for protection as we let ourselves be the most vulnerable we can, which is when we are asleep. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim, ushmor tzedkeinu uvoeinu lechayim uleshalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, O Adonai, aporei sukat shalom, Adonai, aleinu ve'chol amo Israel, ve'al Yerushalayim, Amen, 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 Amen. We sing together now Vishamru, this prayer that reminds us to set aside Shabbat as a special day, as a holy day. It reminds us of the little but important things that we do to make it different, to make it special. Veshameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. איי ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים את הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. איי 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 ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. We're going to continue now with the tefillah. If you're able and comfortable to rise as we sing through this prayer together, I invite you to do so. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevii geula libnei bneihem, Lema'an shemo be'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל HaKadosh. If you would like at this time, you may be seated as we continue with the tefillah. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'etcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. And we conclude the tefillah with the words of peace, the Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. So we take a moment for silent prayer and the thoughts of our hearts. Just take a few moments here. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי וגואלי. Amy, you can stop sharing the screen for the moment. I think some of you have noticed we're short a clergy person. The rabbi had the death of a father of a very old friend of his, and officiated the funeral just this afternoon. And as commutes are, knew that he wouldn't make it here in time to share his thoughts, so you've got me. So I wanted to share some things that this parsha brought to mind for me. Last fall, I was asked to officiate the wedding of an old friend's daughter. At first, I was surprised to be contacted because they have a close relation who is a wonderful rabbi himself. And as it turns out, their daughter is marrying a Christian. And so we're hoping I would help out. Now, it's public knowledge that I'm happy to officiate at interfaith weddings under the right circumstances. The details are not important. But they are a young couple and very much in love. And knowing their family as I do, I wanted to do everything I could to make sure things would go smoothly. So I offered to meet with them several times. The goal of these meetings was to facilitate conversations around their different religions and cultures, the hope being that the skill of talking through issues as they come up would be something that would serve them throughout their marriage. A few months later, I found myself being asked to help another couple in the same way. And then another. This is not a coincidence. This year's Pew study that came out only a few weeks ago reports that among Jewish respondents who got married in the past decade, 6 in 10 say they have a non-Jewish spouse. That's up from 4 in 10 in the previous decade. To clarify, it's a lot of numbers. 42% of all currently married Jewish respondents indicate they have a non-Jewish spouse. But among those who got married since 2010, that's in the last 10 years only, 61% are intermarried. Moreover, if one excludes the Orthodox and looks only at non-Orthodox Jews who've gotten married since 2010, 72% are intermarried. That number surprised me, actually. The choice of an officiant is very important for many of these couples. The wedding ceremony is typically a reflection of the home they plan to build together, and the officiant is the person who helps them craft this ceremony. Many interfaith couples seek out a Jewish officiant and often encounter barriers to finding a professional of quality who will be not just willing, but happy to consecrate their union. I found myself reflecting on my recent experiences when reading this week's Parsha. In Parshat Beha'alotcha, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman he had married. They say simply, he married a Cushite woman. In actuality, Moses married Zipporah, the eldest daughter of the priest of Midian. The Cushitic people, or Cushites, are a group of people who are primarily indigenous to Northeast Africa, from the Nile Valley and the Horn of Africa, and speak or have historically spoken Cushitic languages of the Afro-Asiatic language family. While some interpretations, like Rashi, insist that calling her a Cushite was actually in reference to her beauty, other, lesser recognized interpretations suggest that they were referencing the color of her skin, which to me invokes a racial slur on top of the reference to her non-Jewish identity. In contrast, Abraham, one of our main forefather, had sent a servant all the way to his homeland to make sure a suitable and, even better, distantly related wife could be found for his son Isaac from among his own people. Moses was in an interfaith and perhaps interracial marriage, and Miriam and Aaron clearly didn't approve, and they felt they should be heard. Perhaps it was because Aaron and Miriam were much older than Moses and likely close to parental figures for him. I can imagine the pain their disapproval caused for both Moses and Zipporah. After all, had she not left her home, her family, and community when Moses was called? She even circumcised their son herself while en route to protect him from God's wrath. I can imagine her in-laws' criticism and disapproval was upsetting and that she likely would have taken it very personally. Weddings are always pressure cookers. The tension around these emotionally saturated events will invariably make any secret tensions and buried issues explode, even more so when religious and cultural differences are mixed in. Young couples rarely have the skills to navigate these differences themselves, much less manage the emotions of their parents and extended families. The wedding is often the first major test of a couple's resilience and fortitude. To make matters more pressurized, the way in which these moments are handled often set a precedent for the future of all these relationships. We'll never know how Zipporah felt when Miriam and Aaron shared their disapproval of her, as the Torah makes no mention of her feelings. We do get an idea of how Moses responded, however. The Torah says this, "Now Moses was a very humble man, more so than any other man on earth." In fact, it was God who was angered and punished Miriam with a scaly illness, likely because she spoke first. Moses shows himself to be compassionate and forgiving in this moment as he begs God to heal her. El na rafana el, oh God, please heal her, God. The subject of interfaith marriages is often a deeply divisive one in families with feelings rooted in generational trauma from the Holocaust and confused with other unrelated feelings, like the sense of loss parents might feel when watching their child get married and begin a life with someone else. Religion makes an excellent scapegoat for pain we can't otherwise name. And the wounds created from negative interactions around these significant life cycle events cut deep and often leave permanent scars. After all, we're all someone's child. Our parents are the voices in our heads, and we never stop hoping for their approval and validation, even from the grave. In the final analysis, we can only observe that interfaith marriage has been part of our history and will be part of our future. Does this mean the end of Judaism as we know it? Perhaps. But the Pew study also notes that statistical analysis shows that Jews aged 18 to 49 who have one Jewish parent are more likely than those ages 50 and older to describe themselves as Jewish. In other words, it appears that the offspring of intermarriages have become increasingly likely to identify as Jewish in adulthood. Many of the intermarried Jews say they are raising their children as partly Jewish by religion, or as Jewish aside from religion, what I like to call culturally Jewish. If we can take away one thing from this parsha, it is how Moses responded in the face of his family's disapproval. His concern for his sister overrode any anger he may have felt. Something that could have damaged their relationship instead passed and never came up again. If only we could all be so measured when being triggered by our family. The world is an ever-changing place, and families are increasingly looking more diverse. We must remember, above all, that in order to weather change, we are stronger together than apart. We must put aside our feelings of unsettledness and our fears of the unknown and cleave to each other. Families who are strong and close can weather anything together. And let this time, set aside by Shabbat, serve as a holy space to reinforce our love for each other. Shabbat Shalom.
Yesher koach.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
As the rabbi says, I welcome comments or criticism.
Great sermon. Thank you. Yasha Koach.
Yeah, Yesher koach. Very nice.
So it's good that you're unmuting yourselves because this is the moment where we're going to share blessings of healing. If you'd like to say names or put names in the chat, I'll be happy to say them for you. And I'm going to also read the list from our community. So feel free to type while I read, and then we'll share. Luke Matheson, Francois Bringer, Richard Lawless, Jeff Lobel, Christine Eastus, Hannah Scheindel-Batavora, Susan Winokur, Odette Muskin, Shirley Applebaum, Sandra Stannon, Rivka Batsara, Peggy Einhorn, Bela Rivka Bat Esther Ishmul Pesach, Robert Mallon, Chaya Malka Bat Chaya, Gloria Sancho, Jenny St. George, Arthur Rose, Ahsan Farouki, Alaya Ben Leibel Begitte Chenya, Chava Gittel Bat Frida, Yona Bat Ephraim Yeheschel Miriam, Yona Chaya Bat Miriam, Davida, Ruth Bat Binyamin Vachava, Steve Brown Inns, Yona Tevye Ben Leibel Begitte Chenya, Renee Fishzone, Moshe Ben Leah, Nancy Lazar, Delroy Aline, and from our chat, Ray Scannell, Sheila Nelson, Milton and Marilyn Weschler, Barb, Dave and Jenny Owens, Belle Ressler, David Radin, I hope I'm saying these right, Howard Orlin, Carol Dickman, Marcia Elowitz, Helen Perlstein, Joan Millman, Jerry Anna Briano, Nikki Rosenbaum, Colette Thompson, Emily Ty. Feel free to unmute if you'd like to share additional names. We wish them complete healing of spirit and of body as we sing the Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBeracha Le'imoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imoteinu Mekor HaBeracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Thank you, everyone. We continue with prayer for our country. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country sound in body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. And a prayer for the state of Israel. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Grant them deliverance and adorn them in a mantle of victory. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And let us say, Amen. If you're able to rise for Aleinu, I invite you to do so. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בחשבות לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We are going to gather together the names of the people who are with us in memory. I'm going to share first the ones who are listed in our community list. I want to list those who are in Shloshim. Robert Bob Stein, father of Brian Stein, Jessica Tunkel, grandfather of Elena and Leo. Matt Cohen's father, Dr. Steve Wagner, father of Margaret Berry, father-in-law of Jeff Berry, and grandfather of Hannah and Justin. I think his name got cut off, and I can't remember from the funeral, even it was just a few days ago. If anyone remembers, please correct me. Sylvia Frank, who just passed away. We express our condolences to the Lasky family. And Jules Goldberg, who is the father of Rabbi David Goldberg. And those who are observing a yard site, we have Lillian Kingsley, remembered by Howard Helene, Isabel Ehrlich Goodman, remembered by Bobby List and Mally List, Bill Taylor, remembered by Ann Landman, Irving Saperstein, remembered by Judith Keller, Ronald Rapchick, remembered by Linda Rapchick, Marion Minkowitz, remembered by Martin Minkowitz, Sarah Schneider, remembered by Robin Slade, Stephen Person, remembered by Diane Person, Robin Pappas, remembered by Brooke Lux, Norma Buchholz, remembered by Cheryl Buchholz and Sheila Scharfman, Larissa Lipp, remembered by Rabbi Serge Lipp, Seymour Feller, remembered by Andrea Feller, Lena Harris, remembered by Diane Person, Roberta Risch, remembered by Stephanie Teitelbaum, Andrew Edelman, remembered by Ellen Pemstein, Joseph Powers, remembered by Jeffrey Powers, Ellen L. Newman, remembered by Hillary Newman. And if there are additional names you'd like to share in the chat, please do so. I'm going to look to see.
Chat.
Okay.
Just chat.
Hold on. Well, I'm coming there.
If anyone would like to type anything into the chat or correct my pronunciation, I welcome that. Murray Ressler, father of Gail Ressler.
Thank you, Laura.
So I invite you to unmute yourselves, as is our Zoom custom, to recite the Mourner's Kaddish together. Even though it will be a cacophony of sound, it is a wonderful way to have community around remembrance. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash
Kedash Shemei Rabbah, B'yama Dibra Kirte, Yamlich Malchute, B'chaye Chon, U'v'yome Chon, B'chaye Dekol Beit Yisrael, Adalav Yizman Kari B'yamru Amen.
Yehi
Heish Rabba Rabba Maya. Barak Yishbach Yishtabah Yitmar Yitmarman V'yitnaseh El Shemei Kudashah Richu El Minim Kol Birchata V'shirata Tush V'chata V'nechamata Damin Ram V'yama V'yimru Amen Yishmam Rab Shmaya Chaim Aleinu V'al Chol Yisrael V'yimru Amen
Say shalom
V'rama
Huya asay
Aseh
shalom
Shalom
Aleinu
Aleinu
ve'al
V'al Chol
Yisrael
Yisrael
Kol Yeshretem V'yimru Amen.
we take a moment to sing a prayer for peace. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imaru, amen. I don't know if Marcia's. Yes, she is wonderful. We invite you, Marcia, to share announcements. We can stop share the screen for a moment and spotlight Marcia. Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Cantor, for the wonderful music and for your thought-provoking sermon. We have a few announcements. Tomorrow at 9:30, Havara with Rabbi Pills. June 17th, Sue Swingin' Soiree. And thank you to everyone who bought sponsorships and pages in journal and sentences in the journal. We've had a wonderful response, and it should be a wonderful event. We have a few programs that you should know about. On June 1st, we'll have a seminar on ranked choice voting. The walking group had its first outing this past Wednesday that went very well. And if you're interested, the walking group is meeting again on June 2nd at 4 p.m., June 8th at 11 a.m., and on June 25th, we're all walking over to Brooklyn Bridge Park to participate in Molly's final service. So put that on your calendars. Also, Pride Shabbat is June 11th. There's a special event in Prospect Park on June 12th, Farewell Shabbat Nash with Rabbi Kane. And finally, the Israeli Movie Watch Group is viewing Paradise Now, a Palestinian film, on June 11th. And Shabbat Shalom, everyone. That's all.
Thank you so much, Marcia. So we are going to conclude with Adon Olam. If you could share, thank you, Amy. And it's a special melody for Memorial Day. Adon Olam, Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Le'ei Nasa V'Chesed Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nora, Vehu Haya, Vehu Hove, Vehu Yeh Betifara, Vehu Echad, Ve'en Sheni, Echam Shelo Lehachbira, Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velos Vehamizra, Vehu Eli Vechai Goali, Vetsuchev li Beit Sarah, Vehu Nisi Omanos li Menach Chosi Beyom Ekra, Beyado Afkid Ruchi Beit Ishan Me'ira, Ve'im Ruchi Geviati Adonai li Belo Ira. So we continue, conclude the service with our blessings over wine and bread. So if you have a Kiddush cup handy, feel free to grab it. And we continue with Vayhi Erev. ויהי ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim, everyone.
Chaim, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Everyone, I don't have a challah today. I had no time to cook. But I invite you to grab a challah and we can say motzi together.
3 in a row. Here.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you.
Shabbat
Lovely
Shalom.
service.
Shabbat Shalom.